Venerable Chancellor, it is now my honor to invite the guest speaker to deliver the ceremonial graduation speech, and I would wish to read the citation. Mr. Peter de Almeida is the former Managing Director and Chief Executive of Nable, an IT company he founded in 2008 with 12 people. Today, Nable employs 250 people and has a revenue over $25 million. At the age of 22, he served as the youngest ever treasurer of the Ceylon Bank Employees Union, where he championed nationwide worker benefits. Peter has enjoyed a parallel career in the arts as an actor and director. From a young age, he was involved in local social justice movements, which continue to inform his public speaking. Currently, Peter is the CEO of Kehelmala Productions, whose purpose is to inspire audiences through creative and conscious storytelling. He is an alumnus of INSEAD, France. Mr. Peter de Almeida, thank you very much for being present with us this evening, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Vice Chancellor, and may I get with the greetings to the Venerable Chancellor, the members of the Academy, the faculty, parents, and students. Firstly, let me congratulate all of you. Like the Vice Chancellor said, this is a very big moment in your life, right? I mean, to get selected to medical college itself, I think we have 260,000 students doing A-levels, and then I think about, 2,000 people might be getting into all medical schools, and 200 get into the medical faculty of Columbus. So you are a very unique crowd in that sense. But does that make you unique? That alone? So we'll think about that a little bit. So firstly, let me, having said congratulations, and to the parents, you must be very proud to be here to see your daughter, your son come out today. Some of them already started the practice, and to see them here receiving their coming out, passing out as doctors. So congratulations. But what I want you to think about is, what's the context in which you're passing out today? Mokadda me sandarbha. What is the world we are facing today? That's what you have to think about. And that will define your role as you seek your profession as a doctor. Today, we are stuck by COVID. Unprecedented. Nobody has seen, in my generation, we haven't seen anything like this. And the sheer destruction of people's livelihoods, their education, and their life. 14,000 people have died in Sri Lanka, 800,000 in the US, millions the world over. Now that's directly affecting your profession. But I must, in this context, pay a special tribute to our doctors, healthcare workers actually, including doctors, not just doctors, healthcare workers. Everybody who's even cleaning the garbage in hospital. Healthcare workers have stood up to this challenge. And that's why we got away with only 14,000. I say only, don't get me wrong. Even 14,000, even one death is too much, one too many. So they came and stood up to the challenges. And, you know, we had so many flow patients. And Professor Saroj Jayasinghe was telling me the other day, everybody's showing pictures, flow patients. He said, we always have flow patients in our hospitals in Sri Lanka because we never turn anyone away, even during dengue. So flow patients are there because the hospital does not turn anyone away, and that's true. My sister-in-law got COVID. They were trying to take her to private hospitals. They said, sorry, we are full. Took her to Ragama. They took her in, and they saved her life. So special tribute to the great healthcare workers we have in this country. Second context is, today you're facing a huge problem of antibiotic resistance. I spoke last week at a big conference of a drug manufacturing drug company, and I spoke about this. It's a huge problem because we are over-prescribing antibiotics. And not only antibiotics, we are going to have antimicrobial resistance, including antifungus and antiviral. So we are facing a crisis. WHO says by 2050, 10 million people will die because they will not have the drugs to treat really important diseases because we are prescribing and abusing antibiotics for the slightest thing. That's going to be a huge global problem for your profession and for the people at large. Thirdly, the role of Big Pharma. This is a serious matter that you have to consider. Pharmaceutical people will come after you. Their job is to sell more and more drugs. How are you going to face this? Now we know, I don't want to talk about, that's the elephant in the room, everybody knows this. Globally and in Sri Lanka, the pharmaceutical industry is out to get you. And they will corrupt you. Make no mistake about this. It will happen. How are you going to resist this? That comes us to the question, so what's your purpose? What is the purpose of doctors? That's an interesting question to ask, isn't it? They say, I'll come to that at the very end. There was a very interesting article that I saw. But the main purpose of a doctor is the well-being, yapatma, of your patients. Well-being. Of whom? Your patients. So patients have to be at the center of everything you do, not you at the center of healthcare. That's where we have got it wrong. Despite some great doctors, we also see the other side. Do you know that for a doctor to to understand a patient, you must let the patient speak. Do you know that in average, a doctor will interrupt a patient within the... Last time I spoke at the SLMA, Professor Chandrika, I said 18 seconds. Now they say within 11 seconds, the doctor will interrupt you. I think amma nage avilla kiyana dostara mahathya pereda mage bade kaka දැන් මොකද්ද ප්‍රශ්නේ? Cut him or her short. How are you to understand what's going on? Now, recently, just last week, one of my good friends' mother, she had been diagnosed with cancer, so she was going into chemotherapy. And she was in this room or getting prepared for it the next day. So naturally, she was under tremendous pressure and the doctor had frightened her a little bit. So what happened? Temporary loss of speech and stammering. Now, the neurosurgeon came in and he was already starting to write a prescription for TIA, temporary ischemic attack. That's a standard. Then this daughter, because she said, doctor, please let me tell you what happened. Because her aunt is a doctor in England, and she says, be careful, they will immediately say it's temporary, transient ischemic attack. They'll prescribe you with blood thinners. So she said, this is what happened. Then doctor prescribed it, but they didn't take it. Within a day, within a few hours, she was fine. Because she's having a great fear of chemotherapy. Now, if you listen to the patient, then you understand there's something else going on here. So this is one of the biggest problems I see. We are not patient-centered, we are doctor-centered. And doctors are in a hurry. Because private medical practice, I don't want to get into that. That's a questionable area. Because doctors are seeing hundreds of patients. Where is the time? And they are coming from practicing. Now, there's a doctor who treated my daughter for dengue. Great man. He's working in the hospital, in the infectious disease hospital, IDH. එකොළහට එන්නේ. හරි මහන්සි. ඉතින් මොනවා කරන්න? But he was great doctor. But doctors are in a hurry. So how can you sit and talk? Patient-centered. What does that mean? Patient සම්බන්ධ කරගන්න ඕනේ. Now, patient எடுக்கணும். To treat them. They are the biggest people who can contribute to their well-being, not you. So can we change that mindset? Where you say the patients are important. You can cure yourself better than I can. And that's your role. So we are removing this patient autonomy. And there was a great doctor, and my friend, just caring, just smiling, talking, hello. Then doctors like, parakwela, me consultation, nobody says sorry. Sometimes 2 hours, 3 hours late. And these are patients. I mean, in my profession, if I had a customer, I would say, I'm extremely sorry. I'll be humble. But none of that happens. Because somehow, some of the doctors have put themselves in the center of this profession, great and noble profession. It's time for you to rethink. So my friend, cancer, wheeled him in. He's 4th stage, as far as I can see, he's very bad. Great doctor, yes, But when he asked him, he looked at me and said, what's wrong with him? He's an oncologist. That's not to say what's wrong with him. Then he looked at him and said, he looked at him and he knew, he said, just take him and, palliative care. And, just completely indifferent to this man. And he's an intelligent boy, my age. And after he went out, I said, Doctor, how long? You can see he's quite bad, no? I can't say maybe 2 weeks, 2 months. I mean, come on. Have you lost this kindness, karuna? That's the question we have to ask ourselves. And this patient-centered, that's the point I want to make. And I think I don't want to labor too long on the point, but I want to come to the next point, which is your purpose. We spoke about that. So where are we going with this? That's the point you have to ask yourself. Where are we going with this whole approach to medicine? And very interesting, I read a very interesting article in the New England Journal of Medicine, which Professor Chandrika said was a very prestigious journal. And they say, very interesting article, the article is start with the end in mind, start with the end in mind. And it reminds you of the Hippocratic Oath. What does the Hippocratic Oath say? You all have taken it, I presume, Doctor? They have taken the Hippocratic Oath. Do they formally take it now? They do that? Not now? Okay. But, what does the Hippocratic Oath say? Okay, that's time for me to stop. I'll finish very quickly. It articulates the aim of medicine, and it says it articulates the idea, it guides physicians to provide treatments that align with the purpose of medicine and so are the right for a doctor to do, and to refuse to provide treatment that go against this purpose and that are wrong for a doctor to do. So how does a doctor decide what is right and wrong? Because he has taken a oath of healing and comforting. And there is this famous quotation in that article. They're quoting this scholar called Leon Cass. He says the aim of medicine is simply the pursuit of health. And health is defined as, think about this, the well-working of the organism as a whole. Api sampurna organism ekak. So when you go to a specialist, you're not just a ear or a nose or a throat or a kidney or a prostate gland like me, I'm having some issues. No. The well-being of the whole organism. So are we treating that? Or are we lost it? That's why the word comes holistic. So the definition of medicine is well-working of the entire organism. And that's what I urge all of you to think about. Because your calling is a sacred calling. You are one of the 4 oldest professions known in the world. As early as civilization, people were healing people. Doctors were healing, physicians were healing. And they say in this lovely article, they say your role is to cure sometimes, to relieve often, but to comfort always. So don't rush to grab your prescription pad. Touch the patients. The great GP practice we had, general practitioners, all of you must start as GPs. Don't rush into specialization. Some patients come and the GPs, they have, my famous, Manorani Saranamuthu doctor, she was Richard de Soiza's mother. Richard was killed for his work in journalism. His mother, great GP, practiced in in Grand Pass. Parents come and say, if our child sees you, doctor dakkot honda wenawa. They touch, they talk, touch them. There was a friend of mine, Ruanti Dichikera, famous playwright, writer. She was suffering from COVID, and it was frightening because they're all coming near you, but they're not touching you. And that's the time they're needing touch and comfort. And then she was feeling hopeless. One of the minor staff, somebody turned at the entrance and told her one day, because everybody's staying away from her, patio bayavendepa wa on the way. And she said that immediately changed her. So it doesn't take a lot. That's what it takes. And so I leave you with this thought that the pursuit of health itself, although an excellent purpose, is not the greatest good. The greatest good for patients and doctors is leading a good and worthy life. And you have to ask yourself, what is going to be your values? How are you going to lead a good and worthy life? I'm 64. I think by the time my father died at 64. So if I have his genes and I have cholesterol, I might go next year. But if I don't, hopefully, another 15 years if I live, 75, 80, I hope for a serious illness to go to a government hospital, not to the private hospital. And I'm hoping that some of you will be there. And you might remember me. And you might say, Peter, we are here to care for you. Thank you very much. I wish you all the very best. Think of your profession. Be patient-centered. Be kind. Be compassionate. And give them comfort always. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Almeida. I humbly request our Chancellor, Venerable Sir, to please give this token to our guest speaker.